Your Excellency, the President, my Lord the Chief Justice, the Clerk of Parliament, Cabinet Ministers and Deputy Ministers present, and development partners, distinguished guests, good morning. We would like to commence this program by inviting the presence of God with the minutes of silence, please. Amen. Amen. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, today the internet has become an important aspect of everybody's daily life. From basic communications, especially through social media, to many online activities, it has taken over the world. However, with the growth of the internet, the dangers associated with it have also arisen. In many countries, cyber law acts as a shield over cyberspace to prevent cybercrimes from happening. Today, Sierra Leone is now part of that community of nations to prevent illegal activities that occur online. The Cybersecurity and Crime Act 2021, among other things, provides for rules of conduct and standards of behavior for the use of the internet, computers, and related digital technologies, as well as the actions of the public, government, and private organizations, rules of evidence and criminal procedure, and other criminal justice matters in cyberspace. In many jurisdictions, cybersecurity legislations have been described as paperless laws, as paper laws in the paperless world, or better still, the law of the internet. This is a monumental piece of legislation, and we are here this morning for the symbolic assent to the Cybersecurity and Crime Act 2021 by His Excellency the President. Therefore, on behalf of His Excellency the President, we want to welcome all of you to this history-making moment. On this note, I now invite for a statement the Ambassador of the European Union Delegation, Mr. Ambassador.
Your Excellency, the President, Julius Maada, Honorable Minister of Information and Communication, esteemed government representatives, colleagues from the diplomatic corps, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to join you for the signatory ceremony of the Cybersecurity and Crime Act 2021. Today's event translates into action the commitment made by you, Mr. President, to strengthen governance and to endow Sierra Leone with a sound legal framework to mitigate cybersecurity threats and eradicate cybercrime. The new Act goes a long way to harmonizing the domestic legal framework of Sierra Leone with the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime and other international agreements. It is also an important signal to the region and to the international community of the country's commitment to fighting cybercrime. I congratulate Sierra Leone on the adoption of the Cybersecurity and Crime Act 2021, and I also convey the strongest sentiment of appreciation on behalf of the European Union and the Council of Europe. Your Excellency, Mr. President, not only has the government of Sierra Leone endowed itself of a legislation that stands the test of time and conforms to the highest international standards, it has also demonstrated the wisdom and unfettered commitment towards national dialogue. The European Union would like to acknowledge the active and constructive engagement of national authorities in opening up space to civil society, interested parties, and members of parliament in shaping the legal framework to criminalize cybercrime and set the necessary procedural powers in relation to electronic evidence in observance of the necessary conditions and safeguards to protect human rights and the rule of law. In doing so, we would like to recognize the untiring efforts and exemplary work led by the Honourable Minister Svaray. Honourable Minister, you have successfully guided the Act through Parliament in a manner noteworthy for democratic values that lay at the heart of this Act, and indeed the international standards that it conforms to. As it stands, The Act provides a fair example of the balance that needs to be struck between the need to criminalize cybercrime in all its forms and the protection of human rights and safeguards necessary to uphold the rule of law. The Act is in line with the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, the Maada Convention, and the ECOWAS Directive on Fighting Cybercrime. It forms a great basis for Sierra Leone to join the Convention. On this basis, we welcome Sierra Leone in the family of nations dedicated to eradicate cybercrime. Your Excellency, Mr. President, looking ahead, the European Union and the Council of Europe are prepared to continue the dialogue with the authorities of Sierra Leone regarding a possible future accession of the country to the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime. The second additional protocol to the Budapest Convention on enhanced cooperation and disclosure of electronic evidence is about to be formally approved and to be open for signature in spring 2022, further underlining the ongoing relevance of the Convention. The evolution of information and communication technologies, while bringing unprecedented opportunities, also raises challenges, including for criminal justice authorities and the rule of law in cyberspace. Cybercrime and other offences entailing electronic evidence on computer systems are thriving. And while such evidence is increasingly stored on servers in foreign, shifting of unknown jurisdictions, the powers of law enforcement are limited by territorial boundaries. The second additional protocol provides parties with new innovative tools to obtain the disclosure of electronic evidence, including through direct cooperation with service providers in other parties and more efficient ways of public-to-public cooperation. Two articles permit instant cooperation in emergency situations where lives are at risk. And the draft protocol also promotes joint investigations by parties. These tools are accompanied by a set of safeguards to protect human rights and fundamental freedoms, including in particular a detailed article on the protection of personal data. As Sierra Leone develops its capacity to effectively and efficiently address cybercrime, rest reassured, Excellency, of our support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Ambassador of the EU Delegation, Sierra Leone. I also now invite for a statement the UK High Commission.
Your Excellency, the President of Sierra Leone, Honourable Cabinet Ministers, friends, colleagues in the Consular and Diplomatic Corps, members of the legal profession and the journalist profession, thank you very much for working here today. International cooperation is the essential enabler of effective legislation and optimisation of our combined efforts to counter cybercrime. As we know, our networks, they don't recognise national borders or stop to consider each country's different laws. And of course, in a global network, no one is truly safe until we're all secure. Cybercrime threatens every aspect of our modern societies: our national security, our banking systems, the critical national infrastructure, and of course, personal and corporate finance. Without the international cooperation, without working together in international fora, without making sure that our systems, our structures, our legal frameworks are aligned, we won't be able to work in effective coalition. It's been an honour for the UK government to work with your government in partnership to get to where we are today, to this milestone. And we recognise and truly commend the great efforts and real expertise of the Honourable Minister Suarez's ministry to get us to this and to steer this legislation through Parliament. The International Telecommunications Union in the United Nations, this defines the 5 pillars of global security in days. There's legal, technical, organisational, capacity building, and of course, global cooperation. And it's this final pillar, global cooperation, which we believe makes all of the others most meaningful. By sharing our technical capacity, aligning our legal structures, our organisational approaches, and sharing mutual best practice to build global capacity, we are creating the structures, the conditions, the systems, and the capability to address this ever-increasing, very real and sophisticated threat. And as Sierra Leone continues to demonstrate its ability to influence and act on the international stage, recognising a successful summit last month at COP26, looking at the ambitions of the Security Council, I think we can see that progress, that ambition. It's very clear that here Sierra Leone recognises and is fully embracing the importance and necessity of international cooperation and action. So again, many congratulations on this day and reaching this milestone, and we continue to look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that succinct statement from the VP High Commission. I also invite for a statement from the ECOWAS Commission.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Suriname, please permit me to stand on all existing protocols. I come with the greetings on behalf of His Excellency Jean-Claude Cassibrou, the President of the ECOWAS Commission, who definitely applauds the crucial step taken by Sierra Leone in the fight against cybercrime. He also expresses his deep gratitude for the solicitude he enjoys during his tenure as the President of the ECOWAS Commission. As you all are aware, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, was set up to foster the collective self-sufficiency of its member states. It is with this in mind and in the framework of the development and harmonization of the ICT sector that the ECOWAS cybersecurity agenda was launched for a more holistic approach to supporting the securing of the common digital market for West Africa. In addition, the agenda aims to increase cyber resilience across the region and to support its member states to strengthen the cybersecurity capabilities, protect their cyberspace and critical information infrastructure, as well as definitely building confidence and security in the use of ICTs and the fight against cybercrime. So this coordinated approach and shared responsibility is definitely important because it is required for us to minimize the negative impact cybercrime has across the region. As a matter of fact, cybercrime causes huge financial losses for ECOWAS member states, estimated at thousands of dollars per year, and honestly, that is putting it mildly. Therefore, only a collective approach can make the ECOWAS cyberspace more secure. Capitalizing on established partnerships to address these challenges and support the implementation of the ECOWAS cybersecurity agenda, the ECOWAS Commission, the European Union, expertise funds are definitely implemented a project. It is called the Organized Crime West African Response on Cybersecurity and the Fight Against Cybercrime. Your Excellency, it is with this additional support and as part of the Global Action on Cybercrime Extended 3C+ of the Council of Europe that Sierra Leone today is on the trajectory to ensure the enhancement of its environment, to further strengthening domestic, regional, and international cooperation on cybercrime by the development of its Cybersecurity and Cyber Act Crime of 2021, which is in line with international standards, notably the ECOWAS Acts on Cybersecurity and Cybercrime, as well as the Budapest and Malabo Conventions. However, due to the porous nature of our region, we all know that, legislation is just one part of what needs to be done. We also need to cultivate a cybersecurity and good digital hygiene. So we all know cybersecurity is about trust and cooperation, and one key link in this is a computer security incident response team, the CERT. This is important because it is one of the ways of actually proactively fighting cybersecurity, developing cybersecurity, I beg your pardon, and fighting cybercrime. I am therefore pleased to inform you that the ECOWAS Commission, through the Operacy Project, will be establishing a CSERT to bolster cyber robustness in Sierra Leone. Your Excellency, please allow me to use this opportunity to not only congratulate Sierra Leone for putting in place the minimum prerequisites required and the commitment of Minister Soiree to sustain the national CSERT non-SERA. ECOWAS is obviously regional, and we know cybersecurity is an Olympic sport. We all get to take part, whether we like it or not. So the Commission also pledges its unwavering continued support to build expertise across the region and to consolidate the need for international cooperation in the area of cybersecurity and cybercrime. We will be doing this by two things. One, build human capacity in a consistent and harmonized manner to ensure sustainability, which is key in all member states. Two, coordinating and sharing of resources and experiences between member states. So building on this South-South cooperation at the national level, Your Excellency, the support will be provided in 4 different areas for Sierra Leone. 1, we will help conduct awareness campaigns on cybersecurity and digital hygiene for the different stakeholder groups. There needs to be a whole of society approach to this. 2, we will be developing the human capacity and the capability for the team to manage the CSERT. 3, we hope to help the judicial capabilities, judges and prosecutors, increase their awareness on cybercrime and electronic evidence. Last but definitely not least, we will also be providing digital forensic equipment to support the cybercrime unit of the police force. Lastly, it is important to note that community cyber invulnerability can be built with collective intent and shared actions by us all. We all need to play our part individually and together in keeping our beloved region cyber secure. On this note, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the representative of the ECOWAS Commission, for your message of cooperation and congratulations, sir. I also invite for a statement the Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, the retired Brigadier Dr. Julius, Maada, the Chief Minister, the Excellency, the Honorable Chief Justice, colleague ministers, members of the diplomatic and consular corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted that this morning we will witness the presidential assent to the Cyber Security and Crime Act 2021. Today marks another milestone in our country's history. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the advent of the computer and the internet has changed the way individuals behave, from personal interactions to business interactions. Much of what we do now in some form or fashion is connected to technology. A similar point can be made about crime, namely a significant amount of crime is connected to technology, from money laundering, human trafficking, to online identity theft or credit card theft, are still examples of the technology-based crimes. Our understanding about the connection between crime and technology, however, has not kept pace with the technological changes that have shaped criminal behavior. As technology evolves, the criminology lexicon now includes terms such as computer crime, internet crime, cyber crime, and cyber security. Globally, the development of these criminological concepts and related laws is a recent phenomenon. Laws that have been enacted around these concepts are seen as necessary extension of property laws in response to new opportunities for individuals to commit crimes. Therefore, better understanding of the connection between criminal justice and cyber security will help to strengthen our efforts to promote safer computing in all its forms. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for clarity, cybercrime is any criminal activity that involves a computer, networking device, or a network. Most cybercrimes are carried out in order to generate profit for cyber criminals. Others are carried out against computers or devices directly to damage or disable them. Others use computers or networks to spread malware, illegal information, images of other materials. Cyber criminals may target an individual's private information or corporate data for theft and resale. Undoubtedly, cyber crimes can include many different types of profit-driven criminal activity, including email and internet fraud and identity fraud, as well as attempts to steal financial accounts, credit card, or payment card information. This is the reason, as my colleague, the Minister of Information, may highlight to you shortly, the newly to be Cybercrime Act 2021 has identified 22 offences, including unauthorized access, cyber stalking, and cyber bullying online, child sexual abuse, cyber terrorism, racist and xenophobic offences, to name but a few. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the new Cybercrime Act 2021 will help reform Sierra Leone's criminal justice system in many ways. The powers and procedures in the new law will address unauthorized access to protected system, unauthorized data interception or interference, computer-related forgery, identity theft, and impersonation. The new law will help us to address online child sexual abuse and many other offences. This act must only be good for the safety and security of every Sierra Leonean and our personal or corporate data system. The Law Officers Department in my ministry stands ready to work with other law enforcement agencies to implement and bring in the benefits of this act to all Sierra Leoneans, following this momentous occasion of the President's assent. I thank you.
Thank you very much, the learned Attorney General Minister of Justice. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, from previous speakers, there has been one man who has been recognized for his tenacity and courage and for leadership during the promulgation of the bill up to the act. The man who was spearheaded to create a law, a paper law, from the paperless world. And therefore, it's my pleasure to invite the Honourable Minister of Information and Communications for the statement. The Honourable Minister, please.
Your Excellency, Brigadier Retired Dr. Julius Maada, the Lord Chief Justice, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, delegations here present to witness this historic occasion, civil society organizations, including SLAJ, the Bar Association, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, of course, not forgetting all the ministers. It's a pleasure to have you all here today. cybercrime is a real and present danger faced in the world. I'm going to preface it to this story with His Excellency's permission. I watch and listen a TED talk where No Rivado, the Nigerian equivalent of our anti-corruption commissioner, told TED that in the course of an investigations, he stumbled on a matter where a group of Yahoo boys sat comfortably in Nigeria, robbed a bank $240 million in Brazil. The bank collapsed and the bank governor died. They were able to do a lot of forensic investigations, and at the end of the day, international cooperation was the way out. So Sierra Leone is on the verge of a new beginning. Your Excellency, sir, during my first African Union Commission Forum in Addis Ababa on cybercrimes in 2018, Sierra Leone was flagged as a defaulting member state in the implementation of the Malabo Convention on Cybersecurity and Data Protection, which was signed in 2014. I immediately pledged to ensure that necessary steps will be taken to remove Sierra Leone from that list of shame. On the same occasion, I made a compelling appeal to partners present to support your vision of creating a digitally connected Sierra Leone, of which cybersecurity is a major part. The Excellency Plus project of the Council of Europe accepted our appeal to support us to develop our cybercrime law and related instruments. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in December 2018 of the same year, in consultations with the Attorney General's Office and other sector players, we commenced the development of the first cybercrime bill for Sierra Leone, with support from the Council of Europe in the framework of Excellency Plus project of the European Union. A multi-stakeholder approach was utilized to ensure that contributions of all relevant stakeholders were captured and reflected in various stages of the bill. In 2019, with support from ECOWAS Commission, through the OKWAC project and the Excellency Plus project, a credible firm was recruited to carry out a thorough desk review of the drafted legislation, and it ascertained that the law was compliant with both international and regional standards, including the Budapest Convention, Malabo Convention, the ECOWAS directives on cybercrime and data protection. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to inform you that the Cybersecurity and Crime Act 2021 that will be publicly signed into law today received one of the most rigorous scrutinies by various civil holder groups and members of the public at all stages of the process unto its enactment. That public interaction greatly enriched the bill to protect our cyberspace. Dear Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with 87% of our citizens connected by mobile voice and 27% connected on various social media platforms, the need for a cybercrime legislation has never been more urgent than now. In a recent Sarah Pool survey conducted by the Institute for Governance Reform, about 65% of citizens agree that we should have a law to protect them in cyberspace. Following your assent today, I will be working with the Attorney General and Minister of Foreign Affairs on the process of acceding to the Budapest Convention so that Sierra Leone can benefit from international cooperation on cybercrimes and electronic evidence. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, under the current criminal justice regime, the CID's cybercrime unit can access call data records, mobile phones, computers, external hard drives, and any other electronic device that has information of evidential value during the course of an investigation. The questions that immediately come to mind are: do we have any law to support this action? Are there safeguards that protect people's privacy? Are we able to tender any material of evidential value extracted under such circumstances? The answer to all of these questions is a no. Your Lord, Chief Justice can forgive me if I veer off. It therefore means that our law enforcement agents had access to our stored information in computers, phones, and other places without a warrant issued using prescribed rules of criminal procedure issued by a court of competent jurisdiction. I am pleased to say that this law prohibits this practice and only grants access to our private files after sufficient reason through an application to a High Court judge as provided for in Part 4 of the law, which prescribes a set of specific procedural provisions that describe in detail the powers, including rules for for search and seizure of stored computer data, record of and access to seized data, confidentiality, and limitation of liability that criminal justice authorities may exercise when investigating the criminal offences against and by means of computers established under Part 6 of the law. I am pleased to note that Parliament has ascribing these powers to the law enforcement officers provided enough and sufficient conditions and safeguards to protect the privacy and human rights of all citizens. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this law will strengthen our capacity as a country to apply legislation on cybercrime and is a fulfillment of our commitment to both the Malabo Convention and ECOWAS on cybercrime and is consistent with provisions under the EU Budapest Convention, all of which guarantee human rights, privacy, and freedom of speech. The Act provides for the prevention, management, and response to cybersecurity incidents in line with the digital transformation agenda of your government. Specifically, it will protect the critical information infrastructure of Sierra Leone, provide for protection of children on the internet, and develop our overall cybersecurity agility in the ecosystem. The law will ensure investor confidence as it will give assurance for the protection of intellectual property rights associated with digital investment. I wish again to reassure the public that in drafting this law, we took great cognizance of the rights to privacy, our rights to freedom of expression, our rights to access information as enshrined in Section 25(1) of the 1991 Constitution. The bill was also inspired by subsection 2 of the same Section 25(1) of the 1991 Constitution, which makes persons while enjoying or exercising their rights. The provisions are also in compliance with the 1965 Criminal Procedures Act. Let me end by stating that, unlike other laws, this law is one coming as a full package, with support from ECOWAS Commission under the Organized Crimes West Africa Response on Cybercrime (OCRC) project, with funds from the European Union. We will be establishing our first National Computer Security Incident Response Team, CSAT. We have started the training of investigators, prosecutors, and judges in the implementation of this law. We have also been assured of support for the Digital Forensic Lab of Sierra Leone Police, as has been so eloquently stated by Flyger. I am pleased to report that we receive support in the form of ad hoc credits from Facebook, who are in attendance, to use their platform to popularize the act in those very extremely difficult days when we are asked to reconsult across the nation. We also receive capacity building support from the United Kingdom Foreign and Commonwealth Office through the UK Global Digital Partners Digital, following Your Excellency's signing of the Commonwealth Declaration in 2018. I wish, on behalf of my team at the Ministry of Information and Communications, and indeed on behalf of government, to thank all our local and international partners aforementioned who are supporting us on this journey to a resilient cybersecurity future. Of special note are the honourable members of Parliament for their overwhelming support of this bill in the last stages. Members of civil society, the Sierra Leone Bar Association, and the general public for their support during the development of this act. On that note, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Honourable Minister. Distinguished guests, the Honourable Minister will not have led this process with such tenacity without the inspiration of one man. A man who has done so much on legislative reforms and progressive acts. For many of us, we describe him as the motivator in chief and the instigator in chief. But today, we honor him as the champion of cybersecurity. And on that note, it's now my distinct honor to invite His Excellency the President for a keynote statement. His Excellency, please statement.
Thank you very much to the moderator. My Lord Chief Justice, Ministers of Government, Deputy Ministers, Honourable Members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, various delegations present here this morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Our very presence here this morning underscores our recognition that digital technologies add to the 21st century what the steam engine was to the Industrial Revolution. They are truly transformational, we can all attest. When one looks at the spectrum of crises across the world, the COVID-19 pandemic, the new global economy, global education, global communications, and the effects of climate change, one recognizes the ubiquitous and transformative impact of digital technologies in identifying, mitigating, and innovatively tackling these new global challenges. Greater digital connectivity, digital automation technologies, and harnessing and analysis of big data sets, among others, are driving everything from innovation and research to education, healthcare, entrepreneurship, the economy, to governance, and even more. I also see digital technologies as enablers that will accelerate and drive the achievement of sustainable development goals, depending on how we are intentional about introducing them, how we scale their impact, and how accessible and inclusive those digital technologies are to our population. To that end, Sierra Leone has associated with the United Nations Secretary General's call for developing a storefront for digital public good across the SDGs, for more connectivity and for greater international cooperation in defining governance and cooperation. At the local levels, Sierra Leone has focused on developing digital technologies and expanding access to those technologies. Our young population and our investments in free quality education, as well as in science, technology, and innovation, underline our strong aspiration that we will no longer be at the receiving end of the fourth industrial revolution. Since 2018 also, Sierra Leone now has wider mobile telephone coverage, more use of mobile technologies, more internet connectivity, and more access to digital communication apps and content. Communications, financial transactions, and banking access to services have all been enhanced as a consequence. As we embrace digital technologies and participate in that digital space, we must also invest in digital infrastructure and introduce required legal and regulatory reforms to support that participation. We must tackle questions of access and inclusion, but also deal with digital reforms, freedoms, and rights. We must also prioritize safe and secure uses of digital technologies so that digital technology support inclusive national development. At the sub-regional level, I agree with the ECOWAS representative that we need a holistic and coordinated approach to develop and secure our cyberspace, augment our cyber hygiene, strengthen our cyber security, and thus build our cyber resilience in the sub-region. The European Union representative also acknowledges that the bill I am about to sign into law today is consistent with the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, the African Union Convention, the African Union's Malabo Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data Protection, and the ECOWAS Directive on Fighting Cybercrime. So our law is therefore not a standalone contrivance of solely political ends. as the EU representative has noted, it is consistent with international global standard, Budapest Convention on Cybercrime. The EU's position on cooperation on questions of the rule of law in cyberspace, especially given what the term shifting or unknown jurisdictions protocols on disclosure of electronic evidence, instance cooperation in emergency situations where lives are at risk, and safeguards to protect human rights and fundamental freedoms and the protection of personal data are all agreeable. Especially the EU and Council of Europe acknowledge that this new law provides a basis for continued dialogue and cooperation, and also an imminent invitation to Sweden to accede to the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime. Sweden looks forward to accession and also works closely with the EU to strengthen our capacity to apply our domestic legislation and to promote effective international cooperation. There are still a lot of moving parts to this, but let me first congratulate the Minister of Information and Communication, Mr. Mohamed Rahman Touare, for his multi-stakeholder engagement, which has already been alluded to, in driving this much-needed reform. It has been a very difficult process, I must confess, but he stood his ground and made the case, and today we are going to sign the bill into law. Civil society, the press, citizens have all contributed immensely to shaping this final product we have today. Thank you for your ideas, your thoughts, and your perspectives. I also thank the Honorable Speaker of Parliament, who is not here, and our honorable members of Parliament for their vibrant debate around this bill, and the inordinate bipartisan support for the final bill. Sweden also thank partners for not only supporting the development of our nation's cyber security capabilities, but also for assuring us of future cooperation in mitigating cyber threats and cybercrime. We thank the Council of Europe through the Global Action on Cybercrime Extended, the GLACY Plus project, for its technical support and guidance in developing this law. We also thank the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office through the Global Partners Digital for working with us to undertake the National Cyber Security Risk Assessment and for supporting the development of our national cyber security policy and strategy. We also thank the European Union through our regional body ECOWAS for providing support for the establishment of our first ever National Computer Security Incident Response Center. Thank you for supporting capacity development for our law enforcement agencies also. That is indeed a key requirement for the effective implementation of this law. Overall, this general cooperation demonstrates a collective and shared interest in working on cybersecurity and crime. Sweden looks forward to more cooperation, more capacity development, more resource and technical support, more experience sharing in the years ahead. It is therefore a great moment of honor for me to sign into law today the Cyber Security and Crime Act of 2021. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for that inspiring statement. At this point, it is now my pleasure to invite the Clerk of Parliament for a citation of the Cyber Security and Crime Act 2021 before the sign.
The Cyber Security and Crime Act 2021. Being an act to provide for the effective, unified, and comprehensive legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for the prohibition, prevention, detection, prosecution, and punishment of cyber crimes, prevention of the abusive use of computer systems, to provide for the establishment of structures to promote cyber security and capacity building, to provide for the timely and effective collection of electronic evidence for the purpose of investigation and prosecution of cybercrime, to provide for the protection of critical national information infrastructure and the protection of computer systems and networks, electronic communications, data and computer programs, intellectual property and privacy rights, to provide for facilitation of international cooperation in dealing with cyber crime matters and to provide for other related matters. Enacted by the President and members of Parliament in this present Parliament Assembly. Passed in Parliament on 23rd day of June in the year of our Lord 2021. His Excellency, sir, this printed impression has been carefully compared by me with the bill which has passed Parliament and found by me to be a true and correct printed copy of the said bill. Baran Umar Tarawali, Clerk of Parliament. On behalf of the Speaker and members of Parliament, I can now safely say, sir, you can go ahead and sign the bill. I thank you.
And I invite His Excellency the President for a signing to be accompanied by the Honourable Minister of Information and Communications. There are 3 sets, so His Excellency will be appending his assent to the 3 sets of the Act. A round of applause for the symbolic signing of the Cyber Security and Crime Act 2021 by the President. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your Excellency may also have graciously retire back to the seat. His Excellency has also consented for photo opportunity, and we're going to have a photo opportunity at the lawn, and we're going to have the following people to accompany His Excellency to the lawn. We are going to have the Honourable Chief Justice, the Attorney General Minister of Justice, the Clerk of Parliament, the European Union Ambassador, the representative of the UK High Commission, the representative of the ECOWAS Commission, the president of SLAJ, the president of the Bar Association, and we're also going to have the representative of Facebook, and then the Deputy Minister of Information and Communication, and the Honourable Minister. We are now having the security personnel to assist us with. So in that order, may I graciously invite the guests that I have called for them to make way to the lawn. The Chief Justice, the Honourable Chief Justice, the Minister of